Bengals back this week with the season on the line, getting ready to take on the Chargers. We'll talk about this coming up next on the Wincinnati podcast.
It's exciting time to be a Bengals fan.
Welcome to the Wincinnati podcast. I'm Ace. He's Zim. Zim, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, considering we've had a weird, rough string of games. We're recording this is the first, our game was on Thursday, but here we are, on Monday because of just the timing of the show. But a lot has happened since then, hasn't it?
Yeah, it seems like it's been a while. It seems like Thursday night was forever ago. It is a little different. The schedule's a little different. I feel like it's been a while since the people have heard from us. They haven't heard from us at all since, I want to say, Wednesday. So they haven't heard us talk about this game at all. So obviously, we're going to talk about a lot of things like Zim alluded to. A lot of things have happened. Bengals had some visits in today. So we'll talk about some of those, how those went today, give our thoughts on them. And then, of course, we have to talk to you guys about the Bengals game. Bengals take that loss to the Ravens, 35-34. Controversial game, right? Lots to unpack from that game. And then also after watching the games play out Sunday, and there's another game that's actually getting ready to kick off now, we're going to talk to you guys about the playoff picture. But we'll get into all of that coming up next.
Hey, what's up, Bengals fans? Mike Hilton. I'm on the Wincinnati pod with Ace and Zim.
All right. So we kind of knew about this. I think it was last week. It was floating out there that the Bengals were going to have some players in, especially after they didn't get a second trade done before the deadline. There was rumors that, hey, Bengals are going to bring in some other veterans to look at. They're going to bring in Leonard Fournette at the running back position. They're going to bring in Xavien Howard. There were rumors that they also brought in Albert O today. I'm not sure if that's been confirmed. And then there was another rumor floating around that it could be JPP, but it may actually end up being the guy that they actually signed. I went into this honestly thinking that they were going to sign one of the big two. Like, I didn't expect them to sign both of them, even though I felt like, honestly, Leonard Fournette should be possibly a slam dunk. But, given the last time we seen Leonard Fournette, him being on several different teams, the Bills, I wasn't so sure, like, what kind of shape he was in. I didn't see a video of Leonard Fournette working out like we saw Xavien Howard. Like, before this even happened, Xavien Howard drops a video of him working out. I believe that was maybe Thursday, something like that, showing that he was working out. So I'm thinking, all right, we're going to go in and sign one of these guys. Partner, what were your thoughts? Because today they didn't sign either one of them. What were your thoughts coming into today? Did you have any expectations?
I thought they would sign both. I expected them to sign both. The Fournette one is something I've been on this show several times, and I think what mixed me up is I did the recap. I kept on asking you. I said, man, what show was that? I just said, I think it was on Malik's show where I kept on saying they need to bring playoff Lenny in. I kept on saying it was something in the offseason I wanted to, because if you really paid attention to the Buccaneers, like with the Tom Brady run, that wasn't that long ago. And it wasn't more so what I thought he could elevate the team. I just thought that that's another player like Mixon that never fumbles. So Leonard Fournette has fumbled like twice in like 6 years or something like that. So I feel like he's a tough runner, AFC North. You need them tough 2-3 yards and stuff like that. I feel like he would have been a good guy to do that, like a little, just a short yardage guy, and then a pass pro. I thought his pass pro when he was with the Bucs was pretty good too. I don't know how it was when he was with the Bills. And then he could catch. So I saw what he could do. It's not a crazy pick or pickup, but for the vet minimum and practice squad, I would have did it. Now, the part that we don't know is that what he was thinking? He might have been like, I'm waiting all this time because I want to get an opportunity where I'm like second on the depth chart. They might have said, yeah, no, you're going to go to practice squad. We got Milton, we got Herbert, and we got Chase Brown. So you just need to sit there and get yourself together. So I see both sides of that. I mean, I wish he would have been on the team. The Xavien Howard one does give me the impression that he too, based off of the reports, when they're saying that they can't come to an agreement, I'm thinking in my mind, I'm thinking like, what agreement would it be? Like you're at home doing nothing, like you just waiting for somebody to sign you because you've been unsigned all this time. So nobody was really interested in you. You should take the vet minimum. So when they said that the two sides couldn't agree on it, I'm like, what are they talking about? Like, here's your vet minimum contract. Like, go sit on the practice squad or be a depth guy or whatever. So maybe they didn't agree on that, but that one didn't make as much sense to me because afterwards they're reporting for it. So I don't know. To me, I would have liked both of them. I don't know though. Like something's funny about the Xavien Howard one. If you look at the reports too recently about like, you know, what has happened in his personal in the cases and stuff. I don't know how good our fan bases would have received him also too, if you're paying him more than the league minimum too.
Yeah, I think for me, the Leonard Fournette one was kind of head scratching because at first, like, there's people putting out there like, oh, well, maybe he's out of shape because the Bengals ended up signing some dude. I don't even know who that dude was. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, we do a lot of mock drafts over the years. Like, we get to learn prospects. And when it was broken that the Bengals are signing this other running back that's not Leonard Fournette, I'm just trying to understand, like, what the purpose of that was, because this is a guy that has less experience than Trevion Williams. He's pretty much the equivalent to Milton, in my opinion, a guy that doesn't really have much experience. So I'm not really sure. Like, to me, like, I don't know if it's a money thing. Like, I don't know what Leonard Fournette was looking for. I don't know. Well, clearly Xavien Howard was looking for more than league minimum. But when I look at this situation, and then I see there's reports that the Chiefs and the Ravens are looking to sign Leonard Fournette after the Bengals backed out of trying to sign him, I'm just trying to understand what's going on here. Like, if he still got visits to see the Chiefs and the Ravens, and you decided to sign this guy that, again, I don't know. Have you ever heard of this guy?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't think anything special of him. No, like, I don't know. Like, to me, you know, I've looked up some stuff with him. I've seen him run. I mean, everybody college tape, if you make it into the NFL, you're going to have some good damn highlights. So, I mean, he's got some good stuff out there. So, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't – to me, all of this is about – it's unfortunate that the guy lost in this whole conversation to me, and I noticed this a lot today, is like a lot of people talking about this as though the Bengals knew that Moss would be hurt. And the Moss IR thing is the reason why you're doing this. Like, if Moss doesn't go on IR, you don't need a running back. But every time I've seen it today, it's like everybody's proposing it. It's like, see, the Bengals don't do enough. And then I'm thinking to myself, like, bro, you're not easy as to pick up a running back. Like, they'd have been picked up a running back. Like, Moss goes on the injured reserve for the whole season. So you didn't know that. So now you're just searching for depth. And to me, Chase Brown should get 85, 90% of the carries, I guess, for a team that doesn't really run that much. So all this stuff is like kind of trivial. And I think it goes hand in hand with when you're not winning games, then everything seems a little bit more damning than what it really is. To me, I think Leonard Fournette or Brightwell will come in and at max get 2-3 carries. Because you're only running, like, even when you're running a run heavy game, you're getting 20 carries at most. I'm giving 14, 15 to Chase Brown. And then I got Milton, and I just gave up a draft pick for Herbert. So it's not that crazy to me. I just think that they're getting depth behind it. Maybe something else will happen, and maybe they call Fournette back. I think there's a reason why both of these teams are like on the couch, and I think I read one comment that said Bengals, they're not trying to win. I don't think it's that. I just don't think that I think they understand the process of like the money function of this dude might not make the team for real. So I'm not about to pay him X amount of money. And to me, that's the gray area where as a fan, I'm like, you should, because what you're not spending you're not spending no money nowhere else. So
I don't understand it. Like, Gary Brightwell is not making this team better, and the issue that I have is I agree with you that Chase Brown should get majority of the carries, but we just watched Chase Brown in a game where he had 27 carries, like almost leave that game hurt. Like, if Chase Brown, Lord forbid, obviously I'm not wishing that, but Chase Brown is a smaller running back. He's not necessarily what I would call a durable running back in today's NFL. He has to be somebody that needs to share the rock, and I don't know if Xavien is that guy. I don't know if Gary Brightwell is that guy. Brightwell is that guy. The thing I know about Leonard Fournette is he's been a starter before. I can trust him in pass protection. He's a guy that we at least know, like, worst comes to worst, he could be a short yardage back or something like that. If you do have something that happens to Chase Brown, your running game doesn't completely go down the drain. And then we also saw that Chase Brown had some fumbling issues. So if that continues, like, you literally don't have anybody to pivot to. Khalil Herbert, he got in and fumbled, but like maybe they use those two, but I just don't know. Like, unless your plan is to have your tight end on short yardage, dude take snaps from under center to get it. I just don't know how you go at it without having a short yardage back. Maybe Khalil Herbert is the guy.
For sure. He's the – I'm going to tell you, listen real quick. Like I said, if we would have won the game, I don't think nobody would have cared about none of this stuff today. But the fact that we lost, the Herbert one is they didn't go back to him because I think that the mechanics of the exchange in a game that important, they're like, that wasn't a fumble. That was just a bad exchange. So I think in real time, I was like, yeah, we don't need to give it to him no more. Like, him and Joey B need to work on their exchange, and then let's come back next week. You gave up a draft pick for Herbert. So you see what I'm saying? Like, a week ago, that's not like something just to like gloss over. Herbert should be the equivalent of what Moss should be. I just don't know about how good he is as a pass protector. But him getting whoever, make no mistake about it, Brightwell, Milton, none of them people getting carries over Chase Brown and Herbert. Herbert should be, if they had another game like how they just had, Herbert should get 7 to 10 of those carries. But I think because of that bad exchange, they were just like, nah, like, we're not doing that this week.
So why aren't we signing Xavien Howard? Like, I don't know if I agree that you should offer Xavien Howard league minimum, as this is a dude that was just making $15 million a year, and you have an obvious need at corner. Now, I'm not saying cash him out, but clearly he felt disrespected by the offer a league minimum, and I think maybe he doesn't realize, and maybe he does. I don't know what he's doing right now.
Speculating on league minimum. I didn't want to cut you off. We're just speculating on the league minimum or what the contract would be. So right. we don't know yet.
Yeah, we don't know for a fact that it's league minimum. That's something that's floating out there. But clearly, whatever it was, dude felt like he'd rather just sit at home rather than play for the Bengals. I don't know if it's because this is a 4-6 Bengals team. I don't know if the Chiefs make that same offer because they're 8-0. He feels like he can do it. For me to see what we've seen from the cornerback room, not just in the last game and some of these, it's clear that they need a veteran presence. I don't even know if you have a better veteran presence out there, better on the market than Xavien Howard. That one, like, the fact that they didn't sign anybody on defense, I can get behind, like, all right, we got Khalil Herbert, we got a running back, like, no edge rusher, no cornerback. Like, I don't even get what the point of, like, even announcing that you're bringing these guys in was made such a big deal if they just really felt like this is our offer, this is what we're going to do. and you're just hoping to snag somebody that's going to be desperate and be like, okay, I want to play. Let me jump on this team. I felt like Xavien Howard, just being honest, could probably start in and be one of your starting corners. Like once he gets up to speed, I feel like he would be a pretty solid option because it's clear right now they're having issues back there. And if I'm choosing between Xavien Howard and Josh Newton right now, I'm going with Xavien Howard replacing anybody that's struggling as a cornerback. So it is what it is. I'm just frustrated because I actually kind of got excited, like especially after because I was excited like during the trade time where they were like, all right, well, if we don't sign somebody here, we'll at least try to make some moves to try to bring them in. So to come away with thinking that I'm going to land one of those to some dude named Gary Brightwell just kind of threw me off today. But
I think the main thing with the Xavien Howard one, if you talk to anybody that saw him last year that had him on the team, they all told us that he sucked and he was washed. Like let's be very clear on that. I do kind of agree with your sentiment that the way that these guys have been playing, I don't know this, but I will be willing to bet if he was just average, it probably will be better than what Cam Taylor-Britt is, I guess, I don't know, man. I just think that Howard would have been a depth piece. In my mind, if you've been watching it, like even this past week and listened to Lou Anarumu's comments today, he was talking about how Josh Newton got an uptick in snaps, and he got 18. They worked him into the Ravens game. And I thought for 3 quarters, as we're about to get into the Ravens game, I thought the defense was fine. But the inconsistencies of Cam Taylor-Britt, is the reason why you need another depth piece in case you need to replace Cam Taylor-Britt. And the argument probably could be that you could have probably brought in a cornerback the minute that Dax Hill got hurt. But you're not thinking at that time that your potential all-pro cornerback and Cam Taylor-Britt will fall off a cliff like this. And the reason why I said that is because we're thinking on one end, you got Cam Taylor-Britt, that's your locks CB1. On the other side, I got Newton, DJ Ivy, and DJ Turner. I'm thinking I'm straight. Why would I need a wash 30-something-year-old cornerback at that point? But because of the inconsistencies of Cam Taylor-Britt, it's like that's where I feel like Xavien Howard then should come in and at the very least be a depth piece and be able to talk to him like, hey, bro, Cam, why are you giving outside leverage up to this dude at this play? Like simple stuff like that. He needed somebody else in the room. And to me, that would have been my role for him. I don't think Xavien Howard at this age could carry the long speed of George Pickens in a couple of weeks. I think that he would get cooked. But the young guys like the Josh Newtons and DJ Ivy, I think that maybe they could run with him, but I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And for me, on one hand, it's like we value draft picks very, very high as a Bengals front office, right? So we can't then come back and say, yeah, some of this is not working. Let's just go grab other people when we haven't really seen like all the draft picks. They kept 11 draft picks. So to not play Josh Newton, how would I even know? It's the same thing as Burton. How would I know what I got next year going into the draft? I'm in the evaluation process at 4 and 6 of Josh Newton, DJ Ivy, Dejon Anthony, who I think should be active. I'm in the evaluation process of that and trying to win at the same time. And the Xavien Howard one is there's a world where I think in my mind he would have been a depth piece. I just think based off of the reports, they're not thinking Xavien Howard. He doesn't think he's a depth piece.
Yeah, I'm going to say this and then we can move to the next subject. I don't think he's a depth piece for Cam Taylor-Britt that's allowed 565 yards and 7 touchdowns. And then we also saw them move away from DJ Turner during the game, which I don't understand, and replace him with Josh. And I get wanting to see the rookies, but we're also in we have to win right now mode. And to me, Xavien Howard, I'm willing to trust more of that than like a Josh Newton or anything at this point. But it's clear that he's not going to be a part of this team. So let's go ahead and get into the Ravens game. It was honestly, if you're not a Bengals fan frustrated from, the games lost and the record, and honestly the result, the Bengals played a really good game. I think the fact that they were able to come out and score as many points as they did with T. Higgins, the fact that Joe Burrow was able to cook the way that he did, the fact that Jamar Chase was able to go out there and have a historic game, currently leading all receivers in the league, looking like a possible future Triple Crown winner. I just don't understand how the Bengals lost this game. Like, even I still, like, we sit here, what is this, 5 days from the game? I'm still, like, trying to understand, how did the Bengals lose that game? Like, I'm kind of speechless, bro, because the way that it started off, and I think I told you at one point, like, to me, it looked like it was trending towards a Bengals, like, blowout. Like, they were about to blow the Ravens out. And I'm not saying that because, like, I'm a Bengals fan. Like, I generally felt like that. When we got the ball back right before Chase Brown fumbled, you're talking about it being a 21-point game potentially at that point. Obviously, that swung the momentum, but do you have any answers for, like, what happened with the Bengals versus the Ravens?
Absolutely. My overall point when the game, and I might have said this like in a group chat or something like that, I said it when we were going into the game, I said the Bengals, the way that I felt like they were playing, like, offensively, even without T. Higgins, I'm like, the Bengals would beat anybody in the National Football League. You know, like, as we get later in the show, I'm gonna talk about some of these other games that were played. I'm like, the Bengals will beat anybody in the league right now, but because they're playing the Ravens, I was like, this is going to be a tough game. I still thought that they were capable of beating them, but mind you, you're going up against the number one offense in football. And I was like, our defense is not good enough to stop the number one offense in football. And that's what I felt going into the game. As the game started going, I said, whoa, they're playing keep away. They're not allowing them to run at all. Screen Man isn't throwing screens like when they were Mike Hilton and company, where he was, reading all them out. Lamar Jackson had 80 yards at halftime. I'm looking at the whole game in its totality, and I said, this is the game plan for the Bengals moving forward. Long standing drives, make some key stops, and then telling the team to match you offensively. And for 2.5, almost 3 quarters, it worked. 21-7. The Bengals lost this game, and a lot of people are pointing to all these other different things. And everybody's right. But Chase Brown fumble, this is the thing that I kept on saying like afterwards too, and I might have said this to you too. Even if the Bengals don't score on that drive, even if the Bengals do nothing on that drive, just maybe a first down on there, by the time that the Ravens would have got the ball back, it would have been 21-7 at the start of fourth quarter. Could the Ravens come back? Sure. They probably could have. But that Chase Brown fumble, it escalated the situation so crazy. You give them the ball at the 25-yard line for the number one offense in football, and then tell the defense, who have been pitching a shutout pretty much, yeah, go stop them again. Not happening. Like, let's be real. Like, the Bengals defense isn't the Steelers defense. It isn't a top 3 defense. So when they're put in spots like that, you're just like, man, just give me one stop. Just one, please. Just give me. They couldn't, right? So then the Bengals get the ball back, do nothing, give it right back to them. And before you know it, we're in a shootout. And that fumble took all the energy when the Ravens were booing their team, calling them trash and everything like that. The body language of them, they were done and defeated. That fumble gave them the energy and the belief that, oh, yeah, we are the number one offense. All right, Lamar, start running around. Tie that joint up. Joey B answers, does all these different things. And you got the dumb and think about this. Just the 84-yard catch, if he just tackles them right then, we're probably talking about a tighter game, the clock, all these different things. The clock then gets grabbed right back from you, and now it's in their favor, whereas those 2 plays to me just gave them so much life. And if you remember, as a Bengal fan watching this or a Ravens fan watching this, it looked like the Bengals was about to blow them out. But that fumble changed everything. The lackadaisical tackle from Cantaylor Britt, allowing dude to run all the way down the field. Logan Wilson doesn't push him out of bounds. I push my son for fun, just like, hey, move out my way, harder than Logan Wilson. I don't know. But the time just, now the score is like, whoa. So then we tied up, whatever, boom. the Bengals, Lamar Jackson goes down the field with 2 minutes or whatever time is left. And the only thing I'm saying is all I need is one stop here on third down. If they were to just kick a field goal right there instead of a touchdown, we're talking about Joey B coming down the field, scoring a touchdown, and walking up out of there. We had it like took over your trap. Instead, they give that up. They get a touchdown up that Cam Taylor-Britt gets cooked on that play. I say, so then we go to 2-point conversion. I say, just give me one more stuff, just one more. Whoop, read option. Lamar walks right in. So the defense is showing you that it's good enough to be competent at times, but it showed you when faced with serious adversity, serious pressure, they just don't got it on that level. And so to me, the Bengals now are a team, and it's been like this, they have to score 30 points. They have to score 20-something points and get a crazy lead. If that was any other team outside of the Ravens and maybe the Lions, you maybe make an argument for, I think the Bengals win that game easy, even with the Chase Brown fumble. But because of the high-octane offense that they were going up against, it just was too much of a momentum shift. It was too much in their favor, and it played right into the Ravens' hands. And I thought that now that the clock wasn't a factor, it gave them free reins to open up the playbook. At 21-7, I want this dude throwing short, screen. Oh, you want to throw another screen, bubble screen. And once that game got 21-14, it was all that was out the window. Now the playbook's wide open, and to me, that was the whole reason why the whole game just got to that point. Joey B goes all the way down the field at the end of the game. 2-point conversion. I'm not a big referee guy, but you got to call that. And we're talking, and I think we on the show saying a different thing. Like, hey, Joey B took him all the way down the field, minute and 34 seconds, like it was nothing. Those for 428 yards. Jamar Chase, look, we're 27 minutes into a show, and we ain't bring up Jamar Chase's name. 206. Anybody else, any other team in the league lose a game and have almost 300 yards by their wide receiver, we would see it dun-dun-dun all over the ESPN no matter what. If that was like the Cowboys or something like that. But as Bengals fans, like, we're taught that you can't even talk about anything, that you got to put your head down. You can't even talk about like the fact that Joe Burrow threw for, oh, that was a bad defense. I mean, everybody throws for 500 yards. You can't even do that as a Bengal fan. And it sucks because even at the end of it, everybody's watching, millions of people watching the BS call at the end of that. And the argument is, well, the Bengals should have never put themselves in that spot. But at the same time, we're talking that they just call that. Bengals probably win that game because it's 20-something seconds left. Maybe they go down. Maybe Justin Tucker kicks a 70-yard field goal. I don't know, but I think to gloss over that is kind of weak. And we're talking about this is the best team in football is what they told us coming into the game. So that was my takeaway from the game. I thought the Bengals did what they had to early. The Chase Brown fumble cooked them. And as a result, bad teams always figure out ways to lose. Bengals are not a good team, so they find out ways to lose. I did, and I was encouraged by some of the things that they did, and I think I'm probably a little bit higher than most.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Chase Brown momentum literally killed, I think, everything that the Bengals defense had left because they made a couple of stops. They stopped them coming out. Think about the Ravens getting the ball in the second half. They were able to force a punt there. They were able to step up, and then the Chase Brown situation happens like right after the Bengals forced another punt from one of the most explosive offenses in football, right after the Bengals were able to score. So to me, like, I get what we're saying about the defense, but when I see that Derrick Henry had 68 yards, when I see that Tylan Wallace was the leading receiver and Zay Flowers had 4 receptions for 34 yards, when I see that, you know, Mark Andrews, even though he had a decent game, 68 yards and a touchdown, I'm thinking that the Bengals won that game. Like, I'm thinking that and to me, like, the fumble, I think they kind of, in a sense, did not play complementary football late in this game, the offense and the defense. When they needed each other, they were not there for each other, right? So I'm not just taking the onus off of the defense, but I'm like, when we needed the offense to keep the pedal going, we needed the offense to keep them off of the field. They didn't hold up their end of the bargain. And then the other point that I wanted to make as well is when it came down to it, when the Bengals needed to play, they got them, but then it was just too little too late at the end of the game. By the time they finally got back and tried to get the 2-point conversion, it was just so much weird stuff going on in that drive. And it seemed like the Ravens were trying to give the Bengals the game with all of the penalties that they just kept committing. However, the one thing I question is, if the game is on the line, matter of fact, let me back up. Before that, we didn't talk about this. Going for like a 40-yard pass on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1. The 4th and short and the 3rd and short decisions, I just didn't understand them. Like, that was just, I don't know why you went deep on 4th and 1 for the turnover on down. So when I'm talking about the offense, those are some of the things where I feel like they let the defense down.
Do you feel like that's on Joe, or is that coaching?
I'm going to be honest, man. When I look back at the plays, I think it's a combination of both, because nothing was really open with whatever that play was that Zach called. Like, I didn't see – now, I had to go back on the all-22, but I remember looking at it and it was like nobody's open. I get why Joe would make that play, but at the end of the day, I would rather you like even run for it, bro.
You're gonna be mad as hell because Jamar Chase is screaming wide open, running across her. He's screaming on the first one where he takes the deep shot to Burton on the left side. Jamar Chase is running.
That's on Joe Burrow. Then it's on Joe Burrow, and this is what I'm gonna say. You mentioned that Jamar Chase is wide open, this and that. Anytime it is 3rd and 1, I don't care if it's 4th and 40. I am going to Jamar Chase every single. Jamar Chase just gonna have to drop the ball. Like, somebody's just gonna have to make a play on Jamar Chase. On 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1, I'm going to Jamar Chase. On a 2-point conversion for us to win the game, I'm going to Jamar Chase. I don't care if Jamar Chase is triple covered on the play. I'm going to Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase in this game had 264 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 11 receptions. And you're telling me that with the game on the line, the season on the line, we're not going to Jamar Chase? It's
nuts.
Joe, you my guy. I can't get behind that. Like, this whole that wasn't on my progression. Like, I don't know who's calling the play. I don't know who the primary target on every play. I don't care if it's like a play for a tight end, should be Jamar Chase. I don't care. Like, he is the primary. He is the offense. He didn't make shirts talking about he's always open for you to not throw him the ball with like the season on the line. Like, if we have a situation this weekend against LA and the season is on the line, go down throwing the ball to your best player. Not to Tanner Hudson. Tanner Hudson is who we're targeting with the season on the line. Like, no, bro, you got to go to Jamar Chase.
And the crazy thing is, when it was the first Ravens game, my takeaway was it was on coaching. Why am I running 3 straight runs at that spot? Right. Because all of this is crazy, because I know sometimes when I make a constructive criticism on Joe Burrow and the offense, people will witness me talk about nineism and the craziness of Joe Burrow is the craziest person alive, and all the opposing teams be like, bro, you are such a meat rider for Joe Burrow. But then people on our side, they get like a little messed up that I'm like critical on Joe Burrow sometimes, but it's just part of watching football. And the first time when we played the Ravens, the 3 runs, I thought the same thing you just said. Give the ball to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Afterwards in the locker room, T. Higgins was like, yeah, I thought they would have went to me. Like, I wish we would have got a one play, just one pass, and they didn't, right? And so this time, I will say this. In his progression, the way he was throwing it, I could see how he's like, that's the right throw to make, right? But I think that was what messed him up early in the season, like against the Patriots when he wasn't extending plays. He was just throwing to targets that weren't good enough, but he was like, in my mind, this is the way that the play is drawn up. This is the way it should be thrown. But what you saw from him on Thursday night was, I'm going to improvise. I'm going to take him to the hood. I'm going to take him to LSU. I'm going to take him wherever you play football at, and we're going to extend these plays, and we're going to do whatever we got to do. And it's crazy that on that third down and that fourth down, he was just like, nope, we're going to stay inside the structure of play. I'm going to go through my progressions, and I'm Joe Burrow. And to me, it throws me off because I'm like, bro, I've witnessed you be a psycho the whole entire game. And dudes are about to kill you, and you're just moving around getting shiesty. And then on the third down, where like all he had to do was just wait one more second. Jamar Chase, okay, that it happens, cool. The fourth down one, you're airing it out 40 yards down the field when I watched you just move around the whole game. All you needed was a yard, my brother. And then the 2-point conversion. As much as I hate that play, I do think that he probably goes to the right read in his mind and in practice and everything. And it is a real good throw. But it's Tanner Hudson, like you just said. But this is the thing that kills me even more than that. That's the one time I'm like, get shiesty. Like I'm telling Uzi, I'm like, bro, he about to run. I was like, bro, he about to run this in. And when he just, I was like, what? Now the interior offensive line gave up on him. That's one thing that I do hate about our team. Whether it's the AFC Championship game 2022 or Super Bowl, it seems like in these critical moments, they're always giving up this absurd amount of pressure in those spots. I will give them that. Matabuke was like 1 second, like in his face, pause. But I will say this. If you look at it, the left side is like so open. I'm like, bro, I'm thinking I'm like, Joe about to turn around and roll. When his arm went back, I was like, oh no, because I know Joe, oh my God. That does kill me. Like some of that does, like, that's the weird thing about this season. Coming into this season, my number one thing that you could not tell me nothing. I don't care what it was. If Bengals fans know this, show me a game where Joe Burrow had a chance to go win it and he didn't go cook them at the end. The only game that really stands out to me, remember I always made that argument. It was the Chargers game where Joe Mixon fumbles the ball. They're like, they have a chance, but whatever. There's not that many games. It's really like AFC Championship game. Chris Jones makes a play, Super Bowl, Aaron Donald. Anytime you're giving the ball at the end of the game, what are we always talking about? Zach Taylor took the ball out of Joe Burrow's hand, whether it was the Packers overtime game. Think about all these games, like the 49ers, the one where he completes the fourth down at the end, both of them, to send in the overtime. The ops be like, man, he done throw a fourth-quarter touchdown. I'm like, yeah, but in all of them games, he led game-leading drives. This year, his numbers are so crazy, but in these little decisions like this, and I hate that I'm even bringing this up because the defense is really to blame. It's like they're like, oh, it's like that meme where they're like, where the dude's like, oh, like he gets away with it. Like it's really the defense's fault. But bro, Burrow fumbling in the Chiefs game, Burrow not driving in the Patriots joint in that drive. You look at, some of this stuff, like the Ravens game wasn't his fault. That's on coaching to me. Even the Commanders one, there's some spots where I'm like, okay, go cook them, nine. Like, there's some spots at the end of these games. He's playing his best ball probably ever. But some of this stuff at the end is a little head scratching. Like that 2-point conversion one. I hate the amount of pressure, but I'm thinking, bro, I'm getting out of there. Like, we know that Lamar's getting out of there, right? I know he's more, he's got more, he relies on his legs more, but Joe can get out on people. And I just, some of these spots at the end of these games, he is not killing people like I'm so used to saying. Like, I walk out of games, sometimes Joe Burrow had like 220, but he'll kill somebody at the end of the game. Like, it'll be a play, like whether it was the Raiders game, like the Raiders playoff game, he runs the tightrope on somebody. So, these are late game plays and stuff. And I'm like, he's not doing that as much. And when he does do it, the defense leaves him hanging every single time. So it's just like a bad team where they just figure out ways to lose. And, and everything gets amplified. And I wish I didn't even have to bring those plays up. But I mean, damn, bro, like you just pointed out those two throws. I'm like, why are you throwing that? You only need a yard, my brother. What are you doing?
Right.
I don't get it.
I don't know what it is about. And it was crazy because we kind of talked about the short yardage issues, and a lot of them will come in the run game, right? And the Bengals did something on offense that was creative where they had, I think it was Tanner Hudson, like come in motion, take the snap, and get a first down. And so we're thinking, okay, the short yardage things are a thing of the past. And the last thing I'm thinking is on 3rd and 1, Joey B is gonna go like for a deep shot to Burton like that. That was just kind of wild. But this show, as you guys know, the 1,200, the 1,300 people watching the show, appreciate y'all. Make sure that you guys are following us. Make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'll be glad to hear, though, that we're launching a promo with BETUS. It's not going to be the 125% anymore. It's going to be the 150% match on your first deposit using the promo code YouTube150. So you can head on over to BETUS and place your bet now. The Bengals definitely covered that spread that they had last week. I think the Bengals were given 6 points last week. I actually had some luck myself on some parlays over the weekend. Was able to cash that in, even though Jared Goff decided to go Carson Palmer and throw like 5 interceptions. He was able to lead me to a victory. So make sure that you guys check out BETUS. They got a lot of dope stuff going on over there. And as you guys know, we always give you guys the Wincy Play of the Week. So make sure that you check that out. But before we go to our last topic, which is talking about the rest of what happened in the league, I'm just going to go ahead and pay some bills with our sponsor, Midwest Best Barbecue.
G-Funk wings and them CTVs. Midwest Best is the place to be for curing wings. Midwest Best is the place to be for curing wings. It's the Ace into the Zim, M into the B's. Uno wings, G-Funk wings and them CTVs. Midwest Best is the place to be for curing wings. Midwest Best is the place to be for curing wings. Say what up to Jordan Battle. We be going to battle. Intercepting balls like CTV did on Seattle. Putting 6 up on AZ. Juice gang amazing. Make sure you come get these wings. The Zimby stay blazing. And T-Game be smooth as ice. Jamal making DBs fold. TV got big levels. And now you already know. It's so pretty for Uno wings. Cam got the new wings. We call them CTBs. Only at MBs. Ace into the Zim. M into the B's.
669, this is Court in Loveland, Ohio. Let them know that Ace and Zim sent you. Boneless wings are now at Midwest Best Barbecue. You guys love them so much. They sold out. So make sure you tap in if you're a fan of the boneless wings. They have those in any flavor. You can get the Dillinator flavor. You can get the CCB flavor. You can get whatever it is that you want. The Grippos, and the boneless, you can't beat it. Make sure that you stop in and check out Midwest Best Barbecue. Zim, before we move on to the playoff picture, was there anything that you wanted to say about the Ravens Bengals recap that you didn't get a chance to say already?
No, I think we got into most of it. I will say a couple of different things I do want to point out, though, is Jermaine Pratt has allowed the 6th most yards out of all linebackers in the NFL. Geno Stone is tied for the 2nd most missed tackles among safeties in the NFL. Buda Baker, surprisingly, is number 1. And also on this list is Justin Simmons and Tyrann Mathieu. So I also want to say this. Sheldon Rankins. He's had 160.
My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off. My bad.
Sheldon Rankins has had 163 pass rush snaps and has only produced 3 hurries. This is insane. There are some good signings, like the Gesicki one. You know, like I feel like the Bengals have done some good stuff, but Jesus, those two between Geno Stone and Sheldon Rankins have to be. I don't know if the front office is just like, yeah, we pay X amount of money and we just have to play them. I watched Geno Stone like on plays. This is the crazy thing about Geno Stone. He stays flat-footed all the time and doesn't move. And then when you go watch, then when you go watch him on the play where Lamar throws the little stupid little to another wide open receiver. Like I'm watching show. This is Joe Burrow throws for almost 500 yards with the toughest throws you've seen in your life, getting hit. Lamar Jackson was hit one time, and all of his throws are to wide open receivers. faking like he's running around. Then he's like, somebody's wide open. And I was just like, oh my, like, it's there. I know they play the same position, but it just looks so different. It looks very different. But on that play where he just does the little flick of the wrist, I cannot believe Geno Stone like runs up like he's going to hit somebody. And I'm like, so you stood flat-footed the whole game. And if you would have just stood there like you've been doing, you might have made a play on this ball. But it's the one time, literally, I like watched all of Geno Stone snaps like 2 days ago. It's the one play where he's just like takes a beeline to the quarterback, and I'm like, what is he doing? So Cam Taylor-Britt gets cooked on a, like it's like a little, it's almost like a little Texas route. Cam Taylor-Britt gets cooked on a zigzag. I posted this earlier, and then he goes back that way. If Stone was just sitting there, Lamar can't even throw that play. But the one time he's like, yeah, let me go get Lamar, he just leaves it wide open. I'm just like, bro, this defense is crazy. Somebody in the front office has to be telling them that Sheldon Rankins, Sam Hubbard, and Geno Stone, like, they just got to play, like, no matter what. Because there's no way anybody logical could be watching them play defense and just be like, yeah, that's our best option. Like, we're that deep into the season now where that would have worked at the beginning of the season. Be like, all right, let's just wait and see. We waited and we saw, like, that. I just rewatching that game is so bad because early on it looked so good, and I don't know, man. It's some head scratching stuff. I did want to point out some of those numbers. Cam Taylor-Britt was targeted 9 times. He gave up 8 catches for over 120 yards.
That's nasty.
He is in the lead in the National Football League for yards given up. And so I know that, like, there's a trend online to just, like, cook the Bengals, like, front office all day. But come on, bro. Like, there's something – everybody's got their hand in while we're losing, right? But there's nothing – like, you can't tell me coaching is about to make this dude fall off a cliff like the way that he has been. Like, that, to me, that's the part where I'm like, that's not Lou, that's not coaching, that's not Zach. Like, Cam Taylor-Britt, like, literally, as a cornerback in the NFL – I mean, it's like fundamentals at this point. And like, okay, when we call this coverage, this is what you got to be. His regression, it to me has nothing to do with coaching. I just think that he gets out there and he's not confident anymore. He looks like the least confident cornerback. And it's crazy when he was talking all that trash at the beginning of the season. I was like, well, as long as he backs it up. So they told him shut up. And now he doesn't say any of it. And I feel like he's like so not confident right now. At least Eli Apple was like confident. And he'd get cooked every once in a while, but he was just like, well, I'm going to go out there and give him my best shot. I feel like Cam Taylor-Britt, it just feels like he's going to just lose. Like, when you watch him in his back pedal and stuff like that, he looks so uncertain. If they had a camera to, like, zoom in on his eyes, like, that has, to me, I mean, from a coaching perspective, what do you want, like a motivational speaker or something to come in there? Like, I mean, I could come in there and like talk them boys up. Like, I'll talk to them for real. But I don't know if they're being motivated correctly, so that might be a coaching thing. But I just don't get that part where I know the front office takes a lot of heat on stuff, but how could you even fault them for like this level of regression from a cornerback one? We were talking about, or at least I was talking about, this guy possibly being all pro this season.
Yeah.
This dude ain't getting no option picked up, ain't none of that. The Bengals need to go to this draft coming up, regardless how the season goes. They need corners they need a couple of corners. That's why I was talking about Newton, Ivy. Like, I at least need to see, can they get through a couple of quarters of NFL football? Because right now, I feel like the cornerback and the wide receiver position is like the interior offensive line. Like, they got so many holes, like, pause, on this team right now. I don't even know where to begin, but the cornerback position is not good, man. It's really not good. I don't know.
Yeah, man. Sheldon Rankins at this point needs to be charged with grand theft for the money that he stole from the Bengals. Like, I don't even know if people realize he got activated back to the roster, because we have not seen him the last couple of games. Geno Stone is not beating the double agent charges at all, especially after this game and that performance. They've got nothing from this free agency class outside of Gesicki. And honestly, you could possibly argue, do they even get as much as they gotten out of Gesicki if T. Higgins isn't injured and that doesn't give him a bigger part of the game plan? This free agency class was a bust. They didn't replace Joe Mixon. They're literally still looking for a running back now, even after trading for one, even after signing Zach Moss, which I'm not taking a victory lap, but it was Zach Moss. Like I don't know why people felt like the problem was solved with Zach Moss on a 1-year deal. That's neither here nor there. Offensive line, that offensive interior, like how many years in a row and games in a row are we going to talk about how bad the offensive line's interior is? This is like the third, fourth year in a row of us talking about this. They completely wrecked this game. There is no excuse for Joe Burrow getting hit more than 10 times in one game. Like, yes, he only got sacked 3 times. He still was taking too many hits. That's just not acceptable. Nothing that we've seen thus far is really acceptable. Sam Hubbard playing more than Myles Murphy is not acceptable. Like at this point, it's not. You're talking about Myles Murphy was able to generate pressure at a higher rate than Sam Hubbard, but he's not playing. I just need to understand why. Like, why is he not playing? Why is your first round pick that you just took last year not a bigger part of the game plan for us to understand what's going on, especially when you finish these games with no sacks, no pressures for real, like nothing. You're not seeing anything on that side of the ball. So, this is what makes this season interesting is it's a multifaceted kind of blame that you can look where it starts with the front office, things that they did with Jamar Chase, things that they have done to kind of alienate some of the players, things that they've done with picks, things that they've done with moves. Then you move down to the coaching staff with certain decisions that are being made, certain personnel being played. The only people I can't blame in this situation, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Trey Hendrickson. Like they're literally playing out of their minds. Now, you might want to say like, oh, Trey should have did something more in this game. I think he was still able to get pressure on the quarterback, but I can't look at anybody else outside of the front office and his coaching staff to really point the blame at. And they're really running out of excuses. So we'll have to see what they do. But before we get into what's going on around the league and the playoff chances, we'll get into some of these super chats. Hippie Prophet, $2 super chat. Appreciate that, bro. Says nineism.
Hey, can I tell the people too? Nineism is the belief under all circumstances that tomorrow is not promised, and so you better go get it today. Nineism is our church online. So if you ever need some Bengals therapy, you need to get your mind into nineism because it is the belief that you can't lose as long as you try.
Matt Nathan here says, y'all remember the late Osai roughing the quarterback penalty against the Chiefs that cost us a playoff win? There was accountability on defense. Now nobody feels bad about putting Helen Keller in coverage. Yeah, I don't know what happened on the Tylan Wallace play, bro. Like that's just not acceptable. I don't know what that was. It really reminded me of William Jackson III back in the day when he just let Le'Veon Bell just run up the sideline and like barely touched him. It was a little reminiscent.
Logan Wilson on that one is crazy though, because the push that he gives him, I was like, well, maybe it was hard for him to reach him. I just think they misjudged his speed or something. But bro, Logan Wilson is a much bigger person than me. I'm like, bro, why did it's really Can't Tell It Brett's fault. But after that, I'm just like, bro, go watch Logan Wilson on there. I'm like,
I saw it. If he just shoves him slightly harder, he probably falls out of bounds or at least touches the line or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's been the Bengals tackling this season. And that was a way that Geno, I don't know where he was at on that play.
Somebody said that too. It's just about his angles. The one thing that I can tell you that Geno Stone can do is sit back and let picks come to him. Anything that involves him moving on a ball, like making a play on a ball, breaking on a ball, not happening. Tackling, not happening.
Pete Crawley says, what's the percentage chances of the squad going at least a 4-game win streak? I think they surprise us and get it done with some bad offenses coming up. A 4-game win streak is a lot, bro.
I mean, one part of me, like, what's the most important?
Let me say the games real quick. So Chargers, Steelers, Cowboys, Titans,
Browns,
Broncos. But he's talking about a 4-game win streak.
Hey, look, what's the most important position in football?
Quarterback.
Who has the best quarterback in the National Football League?
The Bengals.
I feel like I got a chance it's like they figure out ways to lose, but me rattling off 7 straight wouldn't be that crazy to me. If I got the best player and I know he's playing in like, you could make the argument about Lamar if you want. I don't know. I'm not here to argue it. Like I just watching them two play this past, like, it's just not the same to me. Like, this is like, you can't convince me. Like, bro had like 80 yards at halftime. It's just not the same to me. Like, I think
Lamar is a great player. I just think what Joe Burrow has been able to do, despite his coaching staff, despite what's around him, despite everything that he has, like, I just think that he's done more.
I think the counter argument would people then saying, well, Joe Burrow has Jamar Chase. But I will come back to, before the game, all Ravens fans brag about how now they have Deontay Johnson as a number 3. They got Andrews. They got, he got the weapons now. And for 3 quarters, up until we gave him a short field, he didn't do much with it. There's also an argument that there's 2 MVPs on one team. Like, I think that he's great.
The week before, Jamar Chase wasn't a part of the picture of a 5-touchdown game that he just had.
Joe Burrow just had 5 touchdowns, no fit. So, like I said, this is the problem that people have on the internet. To me, there will be a Ravens fan that'll watch this and be like, "What are you talking about? Like, cool. Like, not here to argue with you. You got it, bro. But at the same time, you're not about to tell me that Joe Burrow throwing for 500 yards." Throwing for 5 touchdowns and 4 touchdowns, leading the whole National Football Leagues in yards and touchdowns. Like, I got a pretty sound argument myself. And at the end of the game, Joe Burrow did what he's supposed to do and take you down the field. And I think if they call that play, if they call that 2-point, illegal hands to the face or whatever, I think he walks out of there with a dub. But it didn't happen that way. And I think both of them are really great. I just think that people really, to your point, they really underestimate what Joe Burrow has to do on a week-to-week basis. But behind bad coaching, bad front office, behind bad offensive line play, and outside of Jamar Chase, slow-ass wide receivers. He just did that with no T. Higgins. So, I don't know. I just think people think that it's easy to do that, and he's been doing that for 4 years straight, like, all the time. Like, that's nothing new. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of people get lost in like the right now, and they'll crown. Remember, they crowned Jalen Hurts. Then they came back and they crowned CJ Stroud. When is Joe Burrow? The only time that Joe Burrow has a streak in his whole resume was at the beginning when he was hurt with the calf injury last year. After that, his numbers are staggering before he gets hurt for the season. And I just think, I don't know. Like, I don't know. He plays that position very, very well, consistently, all the time, despite all of these deficiencies. See, ops will tell us about how trash we are as an organization, how we ain't nothing. Your coaches sucks, your offensive line sucks, up until it's time to come with a real argument or a real conversation about Joe Burrow. So all those things are trash up until it's time to give Joe Burrow his credit. then it's like, oh, well, he's throwing to Jamar Chase. Well, now those arguments aren't the same. I feel like Lamar now has a Derrick Henry 1,000-yard running back. You got 3 really good wide receivers is what y'all say. And you got, you know what I mean? You got the number 1 offensive football, like all these different things. Like, okay, Joe Burrow still leading the league in yards and touchdowns and still playing very well every week. What's the problem? All right, let's go to the next. You want to go to, because I feel like it goes hand in hand with the games over the weekend, the takeaways, and the playoff picture.
Yeah. Aquila the Great says Bell and Stone are more to blame for CTB struggles in coaching. How are we still talking about offensive line after almost a decade of struggling? Yeah, man. Offensive line is still somehow in the year that we thought that they upgraded, injuries have come crashing down. And the interior just has not gotten better. Matt Nation, realistically, we pick around number 10 to 15 who we drafting. I'm not talking about no mock drafts right now in the middle of the season. Appreciate the super chat, but yeah, I'm not even – I'm trying to think about what low seed that the Bengals can sneak in to get at this point, because right now I believe they have a 38% chance. They got one of the highest percentage chances on getting one of those divisional spots right now.
I'm gonna go right. Let me just ask you just a real quick question. If the best running back in Genty was available when we picked, would you be on board with, given what we know about Zach Taylor, given what we know about whatever, would you be on board just fundamentally with drafting a running back of generational talents in the first round of an NFL draft?
I would be on board with that.
Okay.
To watch Zach Taylor give him 5 carries a game.
He gave Chase Brown 20. What'd you say, 27? Chase Brown like 32 touchdowns.
That was the first time in like years he's given a running back. That might be a Zach Taylor career. I'm gonna be honest.
It might be.
I mean,
all right. I just had to ask that question because I do think part of me does say if they had some crazy like Bijan, I'm a break tackles, run over people, catch all that, and you had that and Chase, I do think that would be kind of crazy.
You need a new run game coordinator. You need a new coach. You need a lot with that.
If you're drafted top 10, 15, I've gone on the record to say this. I know that we are a team that generally keeps their coaching staff and everything like that. If the Bengals don't make the playoffs with the whole roster that these guys have picked, this is the whole Zach. Mixon, get out of here. Tyler Boyd, get out of here. Bates, get out of here. This is the whole Zach Taylor. And remember, they're going against the grain of what Mike Brown probably wants in a lot of these decisions. If they don't make the playoffs, I think he's gone, bro. I said that like 3 times, and I know everybody's like, well, they ain't gonna do that. I think that this is very different. I think Burrow will put them in a spot. He might not say fire Zach, but I think he might walk in there and say, hey, look, unacceptable. I don't know who gotta go. Y'all figure that out, but we're not ever doing that ever again.
Shout out to Tim in the crowd, man. Owner of Midwest Best Barbecue. Show him some love. Make sure you guys stop in 669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. Make sure you stop in. Shout out to Tim being in the house listening in. Once again, this show is powered by BETUS. You can use BETUS to make any kind of play that you want to make, whether it's NBA, NFL. They'll get you situated. Player props, they got it all over there. Lines, money lines, spreads, whatever. Make sure you use that promo code YouTube150 to get that 150% match on your deposit. As you guys know, man, the Wincinnati podcast is live every Monday and Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We appreciate you guys for rocking with us. Follow Zim at Zimhude. Follow me at New Stripe City. Zim, was there anything that you want to say before we get out of here?
I just want to say just really quick, the playoff picture, some teams lost. I feel like it's a 3-team race. So Bengals fans on watch of Colts and Broncos every single week now, right? And Chargers are part of that conversation too. So the Bengals, we're going to talk about on Wednesday show, looking at this Chargers matchup coming up where Chargers defense is for real. That is one of my takeaways with that. The other thing I was going to say is I watched a lot of games, pretty much every game on Sunday. That Steelers game was phenomenal. That was a phenomenal football game. I don't know if, I know I always encourage Bengals fans, make sure y'all watch other teams play. And also the game last night with the Lions and Texans, it was sloppy quarterback play, and it allowed me, it kind of gave me a little bit of more hope, because in my mind, I'm like, these are two of the best teams, and I'm just like, their quarterbacks just like, maybe they get it figured out, but Texans have an interior offensive line problem too. And me just watching them and just watching like how they kind of had them on a leash a little bit. I know that Goff like has the green light to throw it. It does give me a different perspective for Joe, where I'm just like, Joe is really like, he calls his own shot for like 4 quarters. And some of the play calling, like the Texans too, as much as like their coordinator, I think Slavic or whatever his name is, was like a hot name, and Bengals fans toss that name around and be like, man, I wouldn't mind him. He had some really bad calls later in that game, I thought, where he was still trying to force the run and doing a bunch of things that didn't, and they just do a bunch of misdirection and work the play action off of it. And I just was looking and I was like, I don't know if any of these teams are really that amazing to me. Like, I walked away from Sunday. I don't know how many games you saw, but like, who's a team that anybody feels like that can't be beat? Can't be the Chiefs. Like playing that. I know like good teams figure out a way to win it, and they figure it out every single time, but you scared of a team that just won 16 or 14? Like, I'm not. Like, and you had your way with them. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like that was my takeaway. And then the Ravens are supposed to be the other best team, and we did our thing on Derrick Henry.
It might be the Lions right now, bro.
Did you watch the game though?
Yes, I watched them throw 5 interceptions and them still win the game. Like, it was kind of
Joey
crazy.
B would have made them pay. Anybody throw 5 picks on us, we cutting your head off. Like, like when that happened, Stroud never made him pay. He just kept on going. Like, he got points off of it early, but once he threw his 2 picks, then they were scared to pass. You throw 5 picks on Joey B, I'm slicing your head off. Like, you want whatever stadium that is, you going home. Like, I don't know. I didn't watch that and feel like, I thought Penei Sewell had his worst game as a pro in that game. I thought he did some excellent stuff in the run game, but his PFF grade, I think, was like a 20-something. He was giving up pressures like you wouldn't believe in that game. And the Texans had a guy out. And I thought that Goff, for having the best offensive line in football, as much as we talk about Joe Burrow getting hit, I thought Goff was on his ass like most of the night. And when those pressures, he was just like, oh, he was giving it up after that. And I just thought that, like, that's the best offensive line in football. He got hit a lot. It makes you think. I mean, I watched the Steelers too. Like I said, that was a really good game. I think the Steelers are a very underrated team. When they get into trouble, they throw those moon balls up to George Pickens. He's a demon. I don't know, man, but I just walked away from it, and I just said none of these teams really, like, you could really look at all these teams and say there's a flaw, there's a flaw, there's a flaw, there's a flaw. And the Bengals have that same issue. It's just that they're on the other end of these close games every single time, and that's the unfortunate thing. When they were on a 10-game win streak, remember, we had some games that were a little closer. We were just on the good side of it. And I just thought that I don't know.
I can't look at them teams now until the Bengals get in the playoffs. I can't really, until I know that we're gonna play them for sure. I'm looking at the Chargers. I'm looking at the Chargers, right? I'm not looking at nobody else but the Chargers until we get in a position where we can beat these teams. Now, we might see some of those teams along the way, the Steelers and all of that. But at 4 and 6, bro, I'm looking at whoever is next on the schedule right now. I think that you're right. I think those teams are beatable. I think we can beat them, but we got to get there. We got to get there to beat them.
Yeah, I'm just as a football fan, like as players, yes, no player should be paying attention to any of those games. Just focus on the Charger. Just me watching football, though, just like a fan and just breaking down different games and looking around the league, like not even thinking about the Bengals. Like, let's just move the Bengals out the way from it. I walked away from that and just said, like the AFC. I mean, it could go
open. Yeah.
I mean, there's a real argument that if I know we hate the Steelers, but out of all of those teams, they look like one of the more balanced teams, and Russell Wilson makes really good decisions, and they got one of the best defensive fronts, but they got ran on like later in that game, like way more than I thought that they would. So that's what I'm saying. It's just like, it's so many little flaws. And then the Texans without Diggs is very different. It is very different without Diggs, and Nico Collins didn't play, but I thought that they relied on the kid Hutchinson a lot.
Yeah,
I don't, if you're playing them, are you worried about Hutchinson? I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then so Mixon doesn't run, that good, but they're like, well, we're gonna stay with the run. He runs for like 2 yards a carry. He does do some damage, receiving. He ends up with probably like 97 all-purpose yards because Mixon gonna get his no matter what. But I just walked away and said, man, the Bengals, let's take the Bengals out of that. I just don't know any of those teams that I just think that – I think all of them are there are some teams that you can see up front are really good, but they got either – if it's flaws at the quarterback, like you could say I think the Lions are one of the best teams in football, but their quarterback just threw 5 picks in a big game like that, and you know how I always tell you about golf on the road. You know what I mean? Like
I don't. I hate Jared Goff. The way that the Lions have been playing this year, though, I don't like you throw 5 interceptions in a game, you're supposed to lose that game. Like 80% of the time, teams that lose a turnover margin and lose the game. The fact I don't know how they were able to win that game. Like that's. And I don't know if it's a testament to like their run game because Jahmyr Gibbs did some crazy stuff. I don't know if it was Carlton, the corner that was able to make the picks. Now they did force some picks on the Texans. On Carlton Davis. Yeah, Carlton Davis was able to do some stuff.
Mixon trucked his ass, and I think he got knocked out the game.
That kicker that they got, it's some weird stuff.
That's my fantasy kicker right there.
It's some weird stuff.
I mean, it's really. Did you watch the Bills game?
I watched a little bit of the Bills game. I know, like, what I was gonna say though is, have you been watching or tracking the stat where like any team that plays the Lions the next game, like all of them lose? Have you been tracking that stat? Nah, it's like a crazy stat that every team after they play the Lions, they lose like the next game after that.
The Bills game, for 2 quarters, Josh Allen did not look like, He looked like when we play him. You know what I mean? And like that's a team that's only lost 2 games this season. Like I just keep on coming back to this point that, and I will bring it back to the Bengals. I do think that we are very unfortunate at the end of these games, and we're very, very tough on the Bengals. It's a big reason. If you've ever followed like my Twitter, I don't know if your Twitter's like this. There's a reason why, and everybody, we got 1,700 people in here. It's Bengals fans, right? There's a reason why you got to ask yourself, are you in the comment section of another team? And most of us will say you're not. I'm not in the comment section of a Lions, Chiefs, none of these teams that we're talking about. And the times that I do, it's probably because I have a comment about a team that I think potentially maybe could do something to the Bengals, right? And I feel as though our opposition is always in our comment section because from the outside looking in, they're looking at what I think we're ignoring the fact that we do have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase because we're not winning games. But from the outside looking in, they're like, I don't want to play that. They don't want to. I don't think that nobody logically, I think our worst matchup in the National Football League is probably the Ravens, maybe the Steelers and the Browns. They're all in our division, right? And the Ravens with their offense like that and our defense being what it is literally probably the worst matchup that we could have. And that's why it was so close. If the Bengals would have played anybody else on Thursday night, I think they would have won that game, like in my opinion. But I think the reason why all of these people are still like trying to come talk to the Bengals fans is because they can't believe that they're still, you know, like they're 4-6 and they want to make sure that they're dead because they're like, oh, let's get them out the way. You know what I'm saying? But we don't see it because we're 4-6. They want to get us up out of here. And that's why after the game, a lot of them were like at me like, where you at, Zim? Ha, we got you. You out. And then when the Colts and the Broncos lost, I was like, I don't think they out of it for real. Now, can the defense put it together? I don't know. But I do know if Joe Burrow is playing like this and T. Higgins comes back, I don't know, man. I still like my chances considering everything.
I like our chances,
bro. I don't know.
We gotta prove that we can win enough, man. We this season, like I don't know what they own, but they gotta string together some wins, man. Like the time is now. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Wincinnati podcast. Appreciate you guys tapping in with us. We'll be back live Wednesday to preview the Bengals' upcoming game against the Chargers. Thank you guys so much for tapping in with us.